All right, as I said at the beginning of the show, the one and only Chase the Dream Hooper was going to join us. He's here and he's on the secret juice. What's going on, Chase?
I love that shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could tell in the octagon on Saturday. I'm looking a little more filled in finally. So, yeah, feeling good.
Bro, that was the first time I've got that close to you when I came in to interview you. And when I walked up, because you're tall, you're lean, I was kind of shocked. I thought, look at him. He's got some shoulders on him. You definitely filled out in that weight class for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's been maximizing the weight cut. Like, I feel like been lifting some weights, and then cutting just as much water as I was at 45. And yeah, I think it's been working out so far.
So obviously you got in the UFC at 20 and which is so young to be competing at such a high level, especially with so much, so many eyes on you, so many people are paying attention. I think a lot of you had a couple little struggles here up and down. You were struggle with the weight cuts, right? So I think a lot of times that's where you see some people kind of go away and maybe they don't figure it out as well as you obviously have. What kind of struggle was that? Did you just always know you were all right, we're gonna fix this, we'll fix that, and then we'll just keep on going? Or was there any kind of doubts?
I mean, I've always just taken it fight by fight, really. But I think a lot of times in my career, necessity is where I've really shown the brightest. All the way from my Contender Series fight, I had $32 in my bank account. I was like, I need this money. $5,000. I was like, I at least got $5,000 in the bank now. That was my show money. But winning, getting 10 and getting signed, that changed my life in that moment. And it's the same thing even in UFC. When you lose a fight and then you're like, okay, if I lose this one, I'm probably going to get cut. If you lose 2 in a row on your first contract, you're probably done. And I feel like that really has pushed me, in the times, to fight a little harder maybe, or, just recognize hey, if this is my last fight, I just want to be able to tell myself that I fought as hard as I could. And, I feel like I go out there every fight like that. But I'm kind of settling in now. I feel like I'm getting more used to the UFC. That was my 9th fight here on Saturday night. And it's just feels normal now. But in the beginning, it wasn't normal. I was struggling with am I one of these guys, Am I as good as these other people that I've been sharing the cards with? The Colby Covington Usman fight was on my debut. Peter Yan fought Uriah Faber. Max Holloway Volkanovski, that first fight was my debut. So I'm fighting on the cards with some of these legends, and it's hard to stand next to them and recognize that you're, on a similar level to them. But I think I'm there now. So.
Well, me and Anthony have both spoke about this. You kind of, as humans or as fighters, when we first get there, you do still have that imposter syndrome. A lot of people have that. But for you signing at 20 years old, now 9 fights on a 3-fight win streak and getting better and better, and we'll get to Saturday's performance in just a second. It's so impressive, Chase. Honestly, it really is, man, because at 20 years old, I was an absolute maniac. I know Anthony was as well. We've talked at length about it, how immature and stupid we were and stuff like that. For you to be so switched on and disciplined at 20 years old is a credit to yourself, credit to your upbringing, and you should all be very, very proud. But who the is Chase Hooper? Because this is the first time we've spoke. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how do you end up signing with the UFC at 20 years old?
Honestly, I would say this is probably the one thing I'll give my parents credit for is they got me in jiu-jitsu at 8 years old. My coach moved up from California.
You're like, that's the only thing.
Yeah. He was a Ralph Gracie guy. Just happened to open a gym in small town Washington, good old Enumclaw, literally right down the road. And yeah, the gym was really my, that's the place I went to get away from everything. Lived in a trailer type of thing, white trash.
Life was tough growing up, Chase.
Yeah, I mean, my mom's an alcoholic and is bipolar, that type of thing. My dad's kind of it's kind of the reverse of the typical abusive relationship for a thing where my dad was more the submissive one. It was kind of a weird situation, but I would say like the gym is where I learned like what it is to be a man, in my opinion. That toughened me up, and the gym was my escape, so I really committed to it. I was there every single day. Like the weekends, I would always like walk to the gym from the house and walk back, and then in high school, same thing. I would walk from school to the gym and just be there as much as I could. Started competing in jiu-jitsu when I was a little kid, had some success. Went to Pans at 2016 and won Pans. And that was, I got second in the open weight too, which, I didn't even want to do it, but I was like, I'm here, I'll give it a shot. And, that really gave me the confidence to be like, okay, maybe I'm good at this. So then transitioned to MMA, bang out 6 amateur fights in about a year. Turned 18, went pro. That's right around, it was such a weird thing, like growing up in like kind of a shitty situation. It was like, usually the kids are the ones that leave the nest. It was kind of the opposite. Like my parents both kind of moved out, and they're like, if you want to keep paying for this thing, like you can. It's kind of like a hoarder house type trailer situation, is kind of fucked up. But went pro, and fighting was my only source of income. So I was fighting every month for $1,000. And then my wife, who's about to give birth to our kid, she's helping me out, helped fix the place up. We sold it, and then we got our own house now. And 6 months, 6 months of being a pro, and I took this fight on 2 hours notice because they offered me $2,500 flat.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 hours. And I'd fought the weekend before, and not a scratch. And I trained the morning before, and then I was like, okay, maybe we could go to IKEA after and buy some furniture or whatever. But the dude I fought was the main event that night, and he was like 14-5 or something for my second or third pro fight. My coach was like, hey, I know on paper, like a lot of people are going to count you out, but I think you can do this. And we took that fight, and probably I went 5-minute rounds on 2 hours notice.
Wow.
Shit.
Yeah, it was a hell of a fight. A lot of Groundhog Day between the rounds. I kept being like at the stool. I was like, all right, we're back here again. And then kept going and going and going and going.
I just want to jump in real quick, and because I think a lot of people will find what you just said there really inspiring, because a lot of people have tough situations. So it sounds like in one way or another, you've been figuratively a fighter your entire life, and you found a way of taking all that adversity, for want of a better word, and really turning it into a positive. And as I say, like I know a few people right now that are young and they're kind of lost and they're struggled, and life hasn't been, a picnic for them, and like to hear someone like yourself, have the kind of success that you are having now at such a young age and going through that. Again, as I say, it's you should be proud of yourself, man. It's incredible.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's a lot of necessity, like I was saying. Like I took that short notice fight because I needed to pay the bills, and things just keep working out. I just by the skin of my teeth a lot of times. 2 weeks after that fight, got an email from Sean Shelby. He was like, "Hey, do you want a shot on Contender Series?" And I was like, "Yes, 100%." And they tried to book me for June, but I'd already had another fight scheduled by that time. So I was like, hey, I can pull out of this fight or I can go through with it. He's like, nah, go for it. And we'll push you back to July. So I fought that fight 4-0, went on to Contender Series, fought Kane Kawhi, Hawaiian, super tough. I honestly don't remember that fight. He hit me so hard. But,
I got a couple of those.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we all do.
Contract after, and sky's the limit from there. That really helped too, like getting some time on Fight Pass, kind of a step up from the local shows, maybe a step down from Contender Series. Just let me develop a little more, and then made my debut in UFC 245, and yeah.
What? Okay, I don't know how to say this without sounding like an asshole, but Why don't you tell that part of your story more often? Because I think because it all makes sense though. Like when you were telling it, I kept thinking like, well, no wonder. Now it makes a lot of sense, like why you fight the way that you fight, and like the confidence and like just that fighter mentality in you. It makes a whole lot of sense now. But like there has been times, and I think a lot of people have this, like you're a good looking kid, you're young, you don't like, if you look at me, you look at that guy and say, that guy's had a rough life. Like it's easy to see, but like you just look like a good young kid, you know what I mean? That's got a lot of good things going for him, but really you've been kind of fighting your ass off your whole life, and kind of like that come from behind story. And that like, I feel like I'm gravitating to you now. Like I care more now. Like, not that I didn't care before, but like I feel like I'm attached to you a little bit because I've had my own struggles and Mike has had his struggles, and you know, like it hasn't been easy for either one of us. So like, I feel like I'm connected to you more now. I think if you told that a little more often, especially leading into, you know, you talked about your girl early on, and now it's your wife, and now you're about to have your own child. Like that's a huge story. And again, because Mike and I, our kids kind of saved our lives, and that's what we fight for, and that's the most important things in our lives. I don't know. Do you purposely not tell that part of the story, or has it just not been highlighted yet?
I don't know. I just I try not to dwell on the past too much. Like, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. Like my girl's family is great. We spent a ton of time with them, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've made my own decisions as far as like finding all the good people to be around. You know, my team, my coach, since day one. You know, I don't know. I try not to dwell on it and really just focus on the now. You know, like I'm genuinely happy. Like I went from, you know, being in pretty rough spots and not super content with everything. Like that's usually what I think of. Like when I first started fighting, like I just had a lot of, you know, angst, I guess. Mm-hmm. Like I wanted to get that out. And, you know, hurting other people, I guess, was the move for that. But, you know, now it's transition. Like now I'm here, I'm a competitor. Like I'm more grounded in reality, and like I'm happier. I don't know. I just try not to dwell on all the bullshit in the past, and yeah, live in the now. Like I'm happy. I have a great life. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should talk about it a little more, but yeah.
Wise beyond your years, Chase. I'll say that because you're right. Yeah. You know, it doesn't define you. You know, I mean, now you've used it to your advantage and you're doing big things. That was the best performance of your career Saturday night, man. I mean, you looked so good. Viacheslav Borshchev, for those people that don't know, is a monster on the feet. Over 200 professional kickboxing fights. Good, solid grappling defense. And I like Viacheslav, so I've got to pick my words carefully because he's such a likable dude. Mm. You mauled him from start to finish. And not only mauled him, you drop him. I think it was a massive left hand. You sit him down straight away. And fair play to him because he had really good defense on the ground. And he was fighting that whole time until you got the finish. But talk me through it. How good did it feel when you landed that shot and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of my main training partners is a heavyweight. So I, like, it's great for the wrestling because I have to set those shots up. So I end up him with overhands a lot. And like, I think in the video, if you watch it back, like I double throw it. Because a lot of times he would move out of the way and then I hit him with the second one. And then use that to transition to the shot. Just because like a big ass dude like that, I can't be a slouch on the shot, or, you know, I'm going to get sprawled on and my back's going to hurt the next day, or, you know, that night, whatever. But no, that felt amazing. Like really, like in the morning shakeout, we were getting a lot of that type of stuff too. A lot of that left hand landing. I really felt like the beginning of the fight, I felt like Slava was doing a really good job of staying just outside of my range. But I kind of allowed him to walk me into the cage a little bit. I felt like I ended up doing that a little this camp because that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted him to kind of come in a little more, feel a little more comfortable. And then, yeah. So he just kind of edged right inside of the pocket, and I was able to, you know, fake that shot. I felt like he was really waiting for the shot. I felt like he was waiting for me to shoot, like start wrestling, which I'm sure, it makes sense. But that was really also my goal, on the flip side of it is like, do not shoot immediately. That's exactly what he wants you to do. So I kind of had to, let him come in a little more and then threw that overhand. And it was one of those little light bulb flash moments where I was like, oh shit, I guess that landed. Let's get on it. And then you see the little flash in your head of like, okay, maybe this could be over. Like maybe I could finish it right quick. And then, like you said, and to his credit, I knew this. I think I said it in the meetings with you guys before the fight. Is I knew he was going to be tough. Mentally, like I knew it was going to be a tough guy. Like he's not going to just crumple under the pressure, or if I hit a good shot, or if I get in a good position and I'm beating him up. Like he's constantly in the fight, and that's what I respect about him. But yeah, I just kind of had to pour on the shots. I think subs were really kind of the plan B on that, just because I thought TKOing was going to be a little easier, but neither Keith nor Slava were going to give it to me easy.
Fucking Keith wasn't.
No.
Yeah.
Keith Peterson let him take one hell of a beating.
That's why I like having Keith Peterson as one of my refs, because I know by the time he stops it, I'll be ready to be done. If I'm in a bad spot, I'll be happy to be out of there. There's no early stoppages.
Or your opponent's going to get tired hitting you in the face.
Yeah. Were you felt pretty confident then going in and striking with him, and you feel like you're really growing there? 'Cause I thought you looked great, but you feel comfortable though.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of. I found a lot of like boxing kind of more sparring partners, more strikers that were going to try and walk me down and just beat me up in the pocket. I mean, obviously I knew Slava was kind of on a different level as far as like just, the pedigree of his striking, being a K1 level guy. I knew he was going to be tougher, and he did get off a little quick combo. I was like, damn, he's fast, but faster than I was expecting a little bit. But no, I felt like the nice thing is he is a boxer, so he had to be in the boxing range, which is, just another little half step in for me to start grappling. And then, so I was really just trying to work on the shots, work my wrestling a ton this camp. And, thankfully I didn't need to use it a ton, but I was ready for a rough night. I was expecting to get a lot more beat up.
Well, if you just keep knocking them down, you don't have to worry about the takedown. Yeah.
I mean, that's what Jens Pulver told me that one time. He was like, I used to have to wrestle everybody, and then when I figured I could start knocking people out, I stopped wrestling. And,
and that's when everybody stops wrestling, because
exactly.
It takes a hell of a lot less energy to drop someone with one of them instead of wrestling. I get to the canvas. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier to just bink, little left hook, down you go. So what do we want next, Chase? You're on a 3-fight win streak. You're 23. You're looking phenomenal. Performance of your lifetime. The submissions. I'm sure Anthony agrees as a jiu-jitsu guy. The transitions, Saturday night were sublime. They really were. So who do you want next? This is not the UFC. There's not 20,000 people watching live, but it will get about 100,000 views on YouTube alone. So call your fucking shot. Shoot your shot. Don't make it Conor McGregor, and don't call his mama hoe.
No. I mean, I mentioned a certain British fella. I know he's probably a little unattainable right now. I know they're trying to get him probably a top 15 guy. I don't know. There's a lot of vets out there. I would have loved the Claudio Puelles fight as well. He's the one. He beat Jordan Levitt as well, and he also knee barred Clay Guida. I, on the other hand, finished Jordan, also calf slicered Clay in a grappling match.
Oh.
Asterisk on that.
Yeah. There's parallels.
He's a grappler. He's a leg lock guy. I think that'd be a fun fight. And who did he just fight? Faraz Ziam, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. My pronunciation might be a little off. But before with Hooker, I would have loved that fight as well. That'd be a fun one for sure. Yeah, good leg lock exchange.
So you got a baby on the way. And she's due very soon, right?
Boy or girl?
Yeah, it's a girl. She's due June 17th. So, like talking to the matchmakers before, we were just like, "Hey, I cannot fight in June. It's got to be before." And and that's what they gave us. So, I mean, it works out perfectly, honestly.
Anthony,
are you
as
scared?
a father, Anthony has a father. Anthony's got 4 girls.
I do. I got 4 daughters.
There's anyone that can give advice on being the father of a daughter is the great Lionheart Smith. Anthony, what would you say?
Honestly, I think girls, I don't know any different because I don't have any boys, but I think I've heard, and from what I know, my sister has boys. I think girls are easier. But be ready to get bossed around. I'm like an abused spouse in this household, man. It's all girls. I'm just told what to do and picked on. So get used to that shit.
Fair enough.
You got to name things out?
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask that.
Yeah, we're naming her Ellie.
Oh, my daughter's called Ellie.
Yeah.
That's a solid choice. All right. Well, listen, Chase, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Honestly, Saturday night, that was a phenomenal performance. It really was. So congratulations. Looking forward to your next one. Congratulations on everything that you've achieved and, you know, where you are today, given what you shared with us before. And thank you for that, by the way. So, yeah, got to do this again, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your guys' time and great talking to you.
Hey, Chase, if you, I don't typically give a whole shit ton of advice, but if you get the chance to keep sharing your story, I think you should. I think it's motivating to, I don't know, it makes you seem more like a regular person than someone that just everyone sees on TV that's doing something spectacular. So if you ever get the chance, I'm sure that would help out a lot of people.
Fair enough. I appreciate it.
So thanks for coming on, man.
And just on that, is it obviously you care for your parents, so you don't want to shame them? Is that a part of it?
I don't know. It's just,
it
is what it is. Like, I don't really talk to either of them anymore. And I don't know. I guess it's just me, like, trying to move on a little, I guess. But no, I mean, it's probably good to let people know, like, that's my thing. Is training was always my solace at the end of the day. That was the thing that kept me going. So, you know, somebody else might need that too.
Correct. And you touched on it there because it will inspire other people for sure. Anyway, Chase, you're the man. Big fan. Take care, brother. Have a good day.
Appreciate it.